Joining us now, Corey Lewandowski, not in his pajamas. He's out working, and former campaign manager for Trump 2016, New York Times bestseller, Let Trump Be Trump, Trump's Enemies. Get him on Amazon or your favorite bookstore online. Can't go in there, not essential. And he's with us now. Hey, great to have you with us, Corey.
John, good morning. Hey, John, I never correct you, but I've got one little correction for you.
Yes.
I heard you said you're going to New Jersey to go see Congressman Bandrew, who changed, you said, from Republican to Democrat.
I meant, yes. Way. Democrat to Republican, right. I'm sorry about that. Flip the other way. And thanks for doing that. Came to the
side of good from the side of evil, John.
I know, right? And he's going to be with us, Corey, live for an hour in Cape May. And remember, he got elected as a Democrat in 2018, part of the takeover, and he wouldn't vote for impeachment. They wanted to throw him out of the party, and so now he's with us, right?
Yep, no, that's right. And look, the other thing that he's been doing, and I'm sure your listeners have been following this, is helping that gym in New Jersey that the governor has so viciously closed and padlocked, and the Atlas gym, I think it's called. Those people who thought they were following the rules, and then the government just came in and took over their business. Talk about what happens in communist countries. The government came over and took over your business, padlocked the door because they don't want you to be able to make a living. Last time I checked, this was still the United States of America.
Corey, let me just get to reopening America. I know the president now trying to loosen things up. I've been on the Open America tour. Where are we going with this? How soon can we get things open and get back to work here?
Today, Ricky Ticky, right now, John. I mean, look, what the hell are we waiting for? We've been, by and large, following the rules of the government since about March 13th is really when things started to close, okay? And I think the American people did exactly what the government asked them to do. Remember what they told us, John. Hey, we don't want to overburden the hospitals with all of the patients that are coming in, so please shelter in place for 2 weeks, basically. We're going to bend the curve, and then we're going to be back running all over again. No problem. And the American people are smart and resilient. They said, you bet we will. That was March 13th when we heard that. We're now on May 28, 29,
yep.
Right?
26.
Like that? 26, right? And we're still sitting here, and we're seeing states who are saying, hey, it's going to be June 12th, okay? I don't know what planet people can just sit at home for 3 months and not earn any income and say, boy, everything's great in the world. Okay, I don't know where that works. It doesn't work in the Lewandowski household. I'm sure it doesn't work in the John Fredericks household. It doesn't work for every American. And what we've seen, unfortunately, John, is that some of these jobs are never coming back. We've got 38.5 million unemployed people right now.
Yep.
Basically self-imposed, okay? Mm-hmm. Self-imposed because we ask these people to do things. And here's what I heard from a local restaurateur here in my little area in New Hampshire. Mm-hmm. What they did through the PPP program, which is that program where they can go and get money, is they applied on day one because they had a bunch of employees because they owned 3 or 4 T-Bones restaurants or these kind of they own a chain or small franchise kind of thing, and all their people have been paid and they're very happy with that. Well, next week all that money runs out because it was an 8-week window of finances, right? That money runs out in 8 weeks. And so what's going to happen is after that, all those people who've been paid by the PPP, they're all going on unemployment because they have to lay all those people off. Mm-hmm. That's happening around the country, which means we're going to see a massive uptick in unemployment unless something is fixed. And what I mean by fixed is, hey, open the businesses, Governor. Right? And John, look, hey, we had a beautiful Memorial Day weekend on Saturday and Sunday. Yesterday was kind of a overcast day here in New Hampshire. And if you're an outdoor restaurant, no one's sitting outside when it's raining and 60 degrees to go get a hamburger, right? Mm-hmm. And so even though they're trying to open, they're not, and we're seeing this around the country, the governors are picking winners and losers. They're saying, you can open Walmart, Mary's, cosmetic store can't open because you're deemed non-essential. I mean, it's insane, and it's time to put everyone on the same page. You can open a liquor store, but you can't open a church. What are we talking about? I mean, come on. Let's have some personal responsibility. Let's, if social distancing is required, great. But we're hearing, I know I'm on a rant this morning, John, because I'm so fired up over this. I heard a couple lunatics from Harvard on CNN on, I think, Sunday morning on one of the talk shows. Mm-hmm. And one of these lunatics from Harvard said, well, we project another 200,000 people will die if we open the government. By the way, that's 3X, right, where we are right now. Mm-hmm. And they just say these things, and John King was like, oh, thank you for that amazing analysis. Not based on any fact. Not every projection has been wrong. Every model has been wrong. Right? Johns Hopkins said we're going to have 4 million dead. Nowhere near that. But these governors continue to keep states closed, and the states that are opening back up are seeing that economic surge come, but it can't happen fast enough.
Why are these governors of these blue states, Corey, keeping things shut down, not allowing people to go back to work? Why? What's the objective here?
You know, John, I don't want to say it's all politics because I hate to say that, and that's an easy answer. Mm-hmm. But I think you really have to question what they fundamentally believe in. Do they fundamentally believe that small businesses are important as a fabric and the backbone of the American culture? I don't think they do, mm-hmm. right? And the other thing, John, which drives me and should drive every one of your listeners mad, it's so simple, okay? If you are a government official and you are forcing businesses to close, you don't get a paycheck. It's very simple, okay? Mm-hmm. You do that, John, and guess what? The health commissioner and the safety commissioner and the governor of all these respective states, we've stopped your pay because we're not collecting taxes anymore. Now, other than that guy in Illinois who is the Pritzker family who owns all of the hotels and is worth, $10 zillion, mm-hmm. right? Hey, you know what these governors are going to do? Figure out how to open their states because they have to get paid. These guys haven't missed one beat. And I'm not saying they're not working hard, John, but the difference is they've chosen to go into public life. They're living off of taxpayer money. And the small business owner who chose for 10, 20, 30, or 40 years to build their business that's been closed because of your decisions, it's not equal. So let's stop paying state government employees for a while and see how quickly they get this place up and running.
See, I would love to see that happen, and I called for that today. Just furlough 50-60% of state workers, and not the ones that do like firemen and policemen and immediate response staff people, right? Anybody on the governor's staff, why are they working? Why are they getting paid? Right? Furlough all of them. See how far that goes, Corey.
Hey, John, I'll tell you right now, they will come up with a solution so ricky-ticky, you won't even know what happened, okay? That's right. What will happen. And so you say, hey, Governor, guess what? Hey, here's what I would say. If I worked in the legislature in one of these states, I would pass an immediate bill. I would file a bill that says if you are an employee of the governor's staff, because don't forget, this is a one-person decision in each of the respective states. It's right. The governor's staff, right? If you are a member of the administration of the governor of your respective state, here you go. Boom. The legislature just passed a law that says you cannot get paid any longer, okay? So whatever that means now, hey, first responders, state police officers, security personnel, right? Those aren't members of the governor's staff, right? Mm-hmm. Those are usually members of the Department of Transportation or the Department of Security or whatever it is, right, within their respective state. I'm saying the governor's staff, the governor's personal staff.
Right.
The people who show up and work in the governor's office every single day and cabinet members, you get no pay, $0, right, because everyone else is hurting. These guys will come up with an emergency opening plan tomorrow.
Exactly. If not this afternoon by 5 o'clock before the money runs out. Corey, let's get to the president tweeting on, I think, Monday, we'll both be there, threatening to move the Republican National Convention from Charlotte to Georgia or Florida, another state, because Governor Cooper there will not give assurances that the convention can go forward. What's your reaction to that?
Well, my reaction is this. I think this, on behalf of the governor, is clearly a ploy to hold the president and the Republican National Committee and the convention hostage. We have been a great partner to the city of Charlotte, and they've been a good partner to us. Okay, we've raised, I think, north of $40 million for the convention so far. We've secured hundreds, if not thousands, I'm sure thousands of hotel rooms in and around the city. The economic boom that is going to come to Charlotte by tens of thousands of delegates coming in and people and supporters and vendors coming in to stimulate that economy is enormous. It's enormous. And if the governor decides that, hey, you can't do it here, I know the president wants to have a convention. There is no reason we couldn't go down. And, John, I'd have to go back and look. We did a massive event, I think, down in Tampa, right on the water down there,
right.
About 4 years ago. We put, 8, 10, 20,000 people in that thing. It was an amazing venue. We had boats going by. There are plenty of venues that this president can use. And by the way, because we operate in what I call Trump time, which is faster than the rest of the world Trump time, right? We don't need 3 months to plan this thing, okay? If the governor decides that he doesn't want to give us the usage of the facility that we've signed contracts for, there will be a backup plan. Maybe that plan is to go to South Carolina, which is close by. Maybe it's to go to Georgia. Maybe it's to go to Florida. I don't know what it is, but I can promise you smart people are working on it right now, and there will be a Republican convention.
Well, you can go to Tampa. You can go to Orlando. You can go to Jacksonville. You can go to various cities outside of Atlanta. I mean, there are so many options. You can go to South Carolina, just like you said. I mean, if Cooper doesn't want the $500 million of economic activity that goes with it, then he's going to have to deal with the voters in November because he's up for election in November, right? So he's got to make a decision.
Hey, John, Disney World is open. Okay, we can go to Disney World. They've been closed, right? They'd be happy to take our money. Okay, there's plenty of parking at that place, too, and there are flights every day. And the truth is, most of the people who are coming to the convention, by and large, because of the coronavirus pandemic hitting, have not booked their airline tickets, right?
That's right.
And my guess is these hotels have a clause in their contracts that say, hey, if there's a force majeure, right, then you can get out of your contract, which means we are probably, and I'm not an attorney, probably not on the hook for one dime.
I don't think
to
so.
the city,
yep.
Okay? And we can take all that money that's been raised and the security concerns and take that and go put it to another location.
I tell you what, that is spot on, Corey.
People would be happy to go.
Look, it's spot on. I could just talk for myself and my wife, Ann. Both of us national delegates going to Charlotte, we haven't booked anything because we figure we don't know if it's going to happen or how it's going to happen or if it's going to change. And I'm just talking for myself. We haven't booked anything. And even if we did, there's an out clause now. No matter what hotel you book, there's an out clause with all of them. So I don't think they're on the hook for anything. And if Governor Cooper doesn't want us there, why are we going there?
It's a great question, and I know that the team is working on it. I am sure the members of the RNC have been talking through this. And, hey, I like North Carolina. It's a battleground state for us. The president won that state. Mitt Romney won that state. It is a great state for us. But there are other places we can go to celebrate the second term, the kickoff to the reelection campaign of the president with our convention than just North Carolina.
Are you absolutely convinced, Corey Lewandowski, that we're going to have a convention and arena will be full of people by the end of August?
Well, look, John, I do believe we're having a convention, and, I don't know if it's going to be a 50,000 person, everybody descends on a city convention, or it's going to be scaled down and maybe it's only 10,000 people, which is all the delegates, all the alternates, their family, and a smaller group of vendors. I'm not sure what that looks like because I'm not part of that decision matrix, but I can tell you this. My conversations with everybody has been, we're moving forward. There will be some type of convention. The president will be there. And don't forget, John, this is, people are talking, you have to social distance, Just remember this. If the Lewandowski family is coming to the convention, and there's 6 of us, me, my wife, and my 4 kids, okay? If we're coming to the convention, we don't need to social distance from each other because we've been stuck in the same house for the last 15 weeks or whatever it is, right? So when we go to sit in an arena, we don't need to sit 6 feet apart from each other. We can cluster and sit all together because we've been together for the last 15 weeks in the same house, right? And so this notion that you got to have everybody in an arena sitting 6 feet apart from everybody else is just not true.
Right.
Is it more difficult? Sure it is. But when groups or families are coming together that are known not to have the coronavirus and have been known to be together, then fine. And look, hey, John, yesterday was Memorial Day.
Right.
In addition to going to the graveyard, which we always do and pay our respects, you know what we did? We had a cookout to remember those people, and we had friends over, and it's the first time we've done it. And, hey, I'm ready, right? And I think the American people are ready to start to have that social interaction and to take some chances and to have some personal responsibility here.
Yeah, I think we had enough. John Fredericks Radio Network, Trucking the Truth Across America with Corey Lewandowski, former campaign manager, Trump for President 2016, New York Times bestseller, 2 books, Let Trump Be Trump, Trump's Enemies. Get them on Amazon or your favorite bookstore. Corey, let's get to Joe Biden. A couple things I want to go over, Joe Biden, and then a couple of the congressional races. Biden on Friday on the Breakfast Club, the famous quote now saying, if you ain't for me, you ain't black. What the hell's going on with this guy?
John, he's lost it. I mean, look, that was an amazing quote from a privileged 77-year-old white guy who's been in elective office for almost 50 years, okay? A guy who has had all the privilege that any American could ever have. Joe Biden has had it in his entire professional career to say that. Now, if you looked at the mainstream media, their coverage of it, CNN didn't even talk about that comment for about 12 hours, and Mediaite, that liberal publication rag, said Joe Biden received mixed reviews on his statement. John, I want to know who went out and praised Joe Biden's mixed reviews of saying, boy, that's exactly right, Joe. You're 100% accurate. Of course, nobody. But the campaign has talked about this, and you have seen prominent, and I mean prominent, African-American leaders around this country, both Republicans and Democrats, including Barack Obama's political director of the White House, who came out and said, shame on you, Joe Biden. You owe everybody an apology. And Joe then gave some half-hearted apology. And during the apology, John, I think he said, Joe Biden's going to beat Joe Biden. I mean, this guy is he's just a gas machine. So he goes from saying, come on, man, you ain't black if you don't know who you're voting for, if you're not voting for Joe Biden, to Joe Biden's going to beat Joe Biden. It's stunning to me how many mistakes this guy makes by simply opening his mouth every single day. And that's why I go back to beating my drum of encouraging the president to challenge Joe Biden to more debates than just the 3 that are scheduled through the Presidential Debate Commission, because I think that whole system is probably a scam. It's run by people who are supposed to be, above the fray. And the truth is, I want Donald Trump to be debating Joe Biden in September and maybe even August before the early voting starts across the country.
So what would be the scenario for that? Trump campaign would just ask the Biden campaign? How would that
sure.
work?
Look, hey, the president has this little thing called the Twitter machine, the Twitter universe. Hey, Sleepy Joe, how about we agree to 3 additional debates starting on Labor Day? Because remember, John, in 2016, the debates they happened September 26th, October 9th, and October 19th. And what we saw leading up to those was the media praising Hillary Clinton's debate skills and how she was going to be ready, and they built an exact mock of a stage and a replica and And then Donald Trump went and cleaned her clock, okay, at each of those debates. I think the difference now is there are so many people and so many states that allow early voting that if you waited until October 19th of 2016 to watch those debates,
right,
my guess is a third of the ballots, or 20%
they've already been cast.
had already been cast.
Exactly.
Right? And you couldn't change your vote after Donald Trump destroyed Crooked H. And so, my recommendation to the campaign, I've made this now and I'm going to say it again, is the president challenges Joe Biden to 3 more debates. And the media will say, Donald Trump is afraid. He has to challenge Joe because he's scared. No. We want the American people to see Joe Biden stand on stage for 90 minutes with Donald Trump and have to answer real questions without his wife next to him, without a teleprompter, without the geese behind him with the window open, not in his basement. Let's do that and get the American people to see who Joe Biden really is. And we should be doing that before the first ballots are cast. And if the Presidential Debate Commission had any common sense whatsoever, they would forward these debates to reflect that. But because this is a dying old entity, right, that is living in the world of in-person voting only, they once again think that doing these debates in October is the best case scenario. But things have changed.
A third of the people vote. Yeah, I mean, even without stay-at-home mail-in ballots or whatever Pelosi's trying to do, even with the system we have now, 1/3 of America by October 19th has already cast a ballot. So that doesn't make any sense. I think they should have debates early. And look, he should challenge him. And then, I mean, Biden's a challenger. I mean, normally the challenger wants debates, right? Normally.
Yes, but hey, Joe Biden is different. And don't forget, Joe Biden has been debating for 50 years. I mean, this guy's been on the debate stage a long, long time. Donald Trump has conducted exactly 3 debates one-on-one in his entire life, and they were all with Hillary Clinton, and they were all in the last presidential election cycle. But this guy is phenomenal. He's quick on his feet. He's sharp. He's witty. And I want to see him take that message directly to the American people. And I think it's a winner for the president.
Corey Lewandowski with us. Final thing. Some interesting results we got. California, 25, north of L.A., flipping Republican, a 20-point swing there. Also, you've got the Wisconsin one that was stayed in Republican hands. That's special. But then in Virginia, oddly enough, a week ago we had municipal elections, and Republicans there in a couple areas had an enormous plurality. One little town in Stanton, Virginia, which is kind of central Virginia, where one of my radio stations are, flipped from all Democrat to all Republicans for the first time ever in a massive onslaught. People just tired of this lockdown. Could there be a coming political reckoning, Corey, for these governors?
Well, John, look, the race in California that you referenced is the most critical of all of those things you just discussed. It had been over 2 decades. It's a congressional district that Hillary Clinton won by, I think, 7 points. It was the special election to replace the woman who was involved with the, quote, throuple, which I didn't even know what that was until I looked it up, okay? and so, that was a dyed-in-the-wool Democrat district, and it voted to send a Republican to Congress for the first time in 2 decades. You didn't hear about that in the mainstream media by and large, right? They didn't want to talk about that. That sent a shiver right down the spine of every Democrat, because if that's the precursor to what is coming, Republicans can take back the House of Representatives, okay? That seat is a huge factor in doing that, because we have many congressional seats that are much better from a registration perspective than that one, that are in play for us. Then you couple that with the legislative victories, the election victories at the local level, and that tells you people are tired of the way the Democrats have been running things for a long time, and there's accountability. So, look, with the president on the top of the ticket, his people are unwavering. They're coming out. We know that they're coming out, and that's going to help other candidates down ballot. And obviously, the financial prowess we have, the juggernaut of our campaign that we have built, all of those factors are going to go into this election in November, and hand to glove with the Republican National Committee, putting our efforts in a systematic way into congressional districts is going to yield very good results. If I'm a Democrat right now, I'm scared to death Joe Biden has no money. I'm scared to death the Democratic National Committee has no money, no plan, no resources, and that we just lost a couple seats that we should have held, number 1 in California and 1 in Wisconsin. If I'm the Democrats, I'm scared to death right now the way that's coming.
I think you're right, Corey, and I think we're going to win the House back right now, but we got to get these businesses open. Final thing, if you look at the results in Georgia and Florida that have been open, and all of the naysayers and the doomsday predictors on TV saying there was going to be millions of people dead in Atlanta, body bags in cul-de-sac, same thing in Florida, none of that has happened, Corey. None of it has happened.
John, just remember, states that didn't close, South Dakota never closed. Okay, they had the lowest per capita rate of COVID-19 in the country. Iowa never closed. Nebraska never closed. Okay, now I understand the different populations and they're larger states with smaller populations. I get that, but those governors made the strategic decision not to close. And look at their states are recovering much faster because some places it was just business as usual. We now see Florida making a massive comeback. We see Georgia doing that. We see Texas doing that. And again, I think these governors have to be smart and look at a county-by-county analysis and not necessarily a state analysis, because there are certain counties in certain states that need to continue to take additional precautions. But if you're in a county that has had 0 COVID cases, guess what? You should be running business as usual.
John Fredericks Radio Network. Corey, final question. Who's going to be Joe Biden's VP?
You know, John, I've said this 1,000 times. the fact that the only criteria to be the vice president of the United States now is what body parts you have should insult every single person, whether you're a male or a female in this country. And now Joe Biden is under enormous pressure to pick, particularly after his last gaffes, a minority. So I think, he will probably lean towards Kamala Harris, but I think, Elizabeth Warren is a better candidate for him because she is as crazy as Bernie Sanders is, and he still needs the crazies to come to him or else he can't win.
Any chance it'll be Michelle Obama?
Zero chance. Look, I may have a better chance of being on the ticket with Biden than Michelle does.
Why?
Because I'm as good looking as she is, I think. No, look, the truth is she doesn't want to go through the scrutiny.
Yeah.
And the fact is that this race is not by any means a slam dunk for Joe Biden. He's going to lose this election.
I agree with you.
The Bidens know that, and the Obamas don't want to be tainted by that election loss.
I agree with you 100% on that final analysis. I think regardless of what the pressure is, Michelle Obama does not take it because you're right. A, they just don't want the scrutiny and the whole thing that goes with it. But B, they're going to lose. So why would they taint themselves? Because he is going to lose to Trump. Corey, thanks for being with us, man. Thank you.
All right, John, take care. Thank you.
Corey Lewandowski.